There it is. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Dion's Daily Dose. Tonight, it's about to get interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to play this for you briefly, and then we'll get into it. Listen up.
The malpractice is made even worse this time around. Presidents of both parties pay lip service to the idea that the national debt must be addressed. Despite tough talk, deficits and debt inevitably keep rising. We now have over $36 trillion in debt. Unlike past presidents, though, President Trump created the Department of Government Efficiency, affectionately known as DOGE, to identify wasteful programs and eliminate them. Despite DOGE working around the clock, identifying appalling waste of taxpayers' dollars, this bill continues to fund the same programs that are funding the waste and fraud that's been located. How can that be? If we've located the waste and fraud, why are we not telling them reduced foreign aid? If the foreign aid budget is full of all kinds of crazy left-wing advocacy and nonsense, reduce the amount of money you give him. This bill will give them the same amount of money they got last year.
What the hell's the point then?
Yeah, what was the point of Doge?
Oh my God, dude. Like, and it's already done. This is already done. Trump signed it. They passed the House, passed the Senate. I guess even Chuck Schumer was on board. Now we know why. And apparently no one else brings this up.
No, it was just Rand.
Bruh. So let me let you guys know. We have about 16 hours worth of footage that Shawn has been kind enough to condense into about an hour of salient points for us. So we greatly appreciate the time on this, Shawn. And we're going to get started with the floor of the House. And we're going to jump into 5 hours. 5 hour, 41 minutes, 12 seconds to 5:45:01. If you guys would like to see the entire video, it's U.S. House Clerk.
And it's something, this is from the House of Representatives that they just started to do this year, where the House, you can watch the floor for the whole session.
Oh, okay. So
they never had that before this year.
Okay. So this year you can watch directly on U.S. House Clerk YouTube channel, right? And they've got the current live from
the House,
the floor of the House, right? Okay. All right. So we're going to start at 5:41:11, 5:41:11. 5:45:01 is what we're going to. And Representative Cole, C-O-L-E from, do you know? It's all right.
Yeah, Oklahoma. I was going to say Oklahoma.
There we go. All right, here we go.
Does the gentleman from Oklahoma, Chairman Cole, seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to House Resolution 211, I call up the bill H.R. 1968, a full year continuing appropriations and extension act for 2025, and ask for its immediate consideration in the House.
I'm going to pause it real brief because we're going to dig into some Shawn knowledge here. Okay, so first of all, before we dive off the deep end into the CR stuff, what the hell's a continuing resolution? What's a CR?
Basically, it's a way around from having to pass a budget, and it's basically keeping the same levels as last year.
Okay, so it's basically like a quick fix for keeping the government open without having to do a whole budget. Yeah. Okay.
What they're supposed to do is pass 12 different spending bills from all the different committees.
Yeah.
But they haven't done that since I want to say 2009. It's been a CR every year.
So basically it's a way to keep the faucet flowing for these places that shouldn't be getting money.
And past speakers have promised that they were going to stop doing this, and nobody has stopped. Like when Speaker McCarthy became speaker, he said he wasn't going to do this kind of stuff anymore. But sure enough, and Speaker Johnson said the same thing.
Yeah, funny
it just
how that
happens
works.
Year after year after year.
Every year it's the same crap. And once again, you can vote for a new president. These people are
we
these
need term
people.
limits.
I mean, we need a lot of things, but anyway, I'm not going to get into that. I'll get banned.
The clerk will report the title of the bill.
H.R. 1968, a bill making further continuing appropriations and other extensions for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025, and for other purposes.
Pursuant to House Resolution 211, the amendment printed in House Report 11915 is adopted and the bill as amended is considered read. The bill as amended shall be debatable for 1 hour, equally divided and controlled by the chair and ranking minority member of the Committee on Appropriations or their respective designees. The gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. Cole, and the gentlewoman from Connecticut, Ms. DeLauro, each control 30 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Oklahoma.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material on the measure under consideration.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume. I rise today in support of H.R. 1968, the full year Continuing Appropriations and Extensions Act 2025. Today's bill comes about at a critical time for this institution and this nation. As members are well aware, government funding all runs out at midnight on Friday. That means that members are faced with a stark but clear choice. Will they vote in favor of this bill and thereby keep the government open and operating, or will they vote no, thereby affirmatively choosing to shut down the government? This choice is the choice we face today.
And I love how they always phrase it like that, right? If you don't pass this, you're going to shut the government down.
And they intentionally pick the times that they're going to have the government funding end a lot of times where they want to go home.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're trying to hurry up and get this pushed through.
And you don't have enough time to read the entire bill. They like to do that too.
Yeah, you never do. That's the thing, man. Like the stuff that I learned about our Congress when I decided to run for U.S. Congress made me absolutely sick.
We are now nearly 5.5 months into the fiscal year 2025. Congress has previously passed 2 short-term continuing resolutions, both of which extended government funding and kept the status quo in place, ensuring the government can remain open. Today's bill is really no different than the CR passed in December. Other than the most essential and critical anomalies, it simply maintains current conditions through the end of the fiscal year. For those who supported the CR in December, you should have no qualms about voting for the same way on today's bill. There are no policy differences, no poison pills, and no reason to vote against keeping the government open and operating.
In other words, it's the exact same crap they passed in December with the exact same pork, the exact same BS, the exact same liberal garbage.
A year-long CR.
Go ahead.
And the part of the problem too is the way that they fund the government too, is because they're basically paying for this stuff that I forgot what it is. What I'm saying is they need to also end how baseline budgeting.
Yeah. Okay. So let's really briefly, for those not familiar with baseline budgeting, right? You just get the same damn amount you got last year.
Plus
interest. Yeah.
But I think it determines on how much. I'm not sure how that works. I know every program gets a little bit more money every year.
Yeah, it keeps going up. Whereas Ron Paul, one of them wanted to do where it starts at 0 and they have to justify. Right?
That was Rand.
That was Rand. Once again, the only voice of reason that I'm hearing.
Is not how I hoped it open and operating. A year-long CR is not how I hoped that FY 2025 appropriations process would end. The Appropriations Committee and the House did their work. Indeed, the committee reported out all 12 appropriations bills by midsummer, and the House passed 5 of those bills, covering over 70% of discretionary spending across the floor by the end of July. Sadly, despite our best efforts, we were unable to come to a final agreement.
Despite our best efforts. That statement alone in Congress is laughable.
On the full year appropriations bills. Although we were very close on a final dollar figure, my colleagues in the minority made additional demands that would restrict the legitimate authority of the executive in the appropriations process. These are restrictions that the minority would never accept for a Democratic president, nor are they provisions that President Trump would or should sign into law. It is deeply unfortunate and disappointing that the minority chose to make these unreasonable demands. Republicans never left the negotiating table and indeed worked diligently with Democrats to reach a bicameral bipartisan deal.
So, shocker. Oh my God. You guys didn't see this coming, did you? That the Democrats are trying to limit the power of the executive branch. Why? Because Orange Man bad. And they were perfectly okay with Biden. There were no issues there. They were perfectly okay with.
Their guy was in there.
What's that?
Their guy was in there.
Yeah, exactly. Like he said, they would never go along with this crap for a Democrat president. Not even a chance. All right, we're going to jump ahead a little bit to 547-16, and this is Representative DeLauro.
You'll recognize her right away.
Okay. 547.
We've talked about her before.
Oh my God. Yeah, the purple-haired crazy lady. Okay. Holy God.
Yeah, she's the ranking member of the committee.
God. All right. Great. Wonderful. People are saying she's the new face of the Democrat Party.
There was a new poll that came out today that said that AOC is.
Either way, we're.
I don't think they have much of a chance if they pick AOC.
Either way.
No.
Like you either got old and crazy or young and crazy.
Yeah, the Democrat Party's crazy.
They've lost touch with reality at this point, in my opinion. Come on.
I think the majority of the American people.
Oh, the majority of the American people look at, because they've kept going left, right? And if they no longer have tolerable conversations, it's if you disagree even slightly with their stated position, you're a Nazi.
Yeah,
you're
what they did to Schumer.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, so oh God, we get to listen to Skibbity. Did you see that cringe ass video she did?
Yep, that was yes.
Oh my God! If you haven't seen it, look it up. I guess the headline on it or the text for it is when you let Gen Z write your speech or something like that. It's bad. It's really, really, really cringe.
I was recognized to debate the bill.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Ladies recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I'm opposed to this one-year continuing resolution. It is not a simple stopgap that keeps the lights on, the doors open. This is Republican leadership handing over the keys of the government and a blank check to Elon Musk and to President Trump.
I just real quick, serious question. If it's the same fucking thing they passed last time that everybody was okay with, how does this hand whatever?
That's a good question.
Serious, no, legitimate question. How does this, like, I understand this particular individual is straight up bonkers. I get that. But like, how can you possibly make that argument with a straight face?
I think they're just looking for
anything
argument.
Yeah, anything. We're against it because Orange Man bad. They can't say that in those words, so they say it like this.
As the White House has said, this bill creates more flexibility for this administration to continue to undermine the Constitution and the countless spending laws by stealing promised investments from American families, children, and businesses, unlawfully dismantling agencies, arbitrarily firing civil servants, and canceling union contracts. Read the Constitution.
You know what? No federal employee should be in a union.
Agreed.
The federal government is your union. That's, dude, like,
Agreed.
Yeah, they've gone so out of control,
even
which is
FDR
why we
was
are
against,
here.
Even FDR was against government unions.
It makes no sense.
Constitution, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 7. The power of the purse resides with the Congress and not with the executive. And in fact, the president has no legitimate authority from meddling in the appropriations process.
Except the part she's leaving out is that for years, decades, Congress has been steadily giving their power away. They've been investing it in these overblown agencies, such as the IRS, for example, but these NGOs and all these various groups, the Office of, what is it? Go ahead.
Management budget.
Yeah, OMB or OBM
yeah.
or whatever it is, Office of Budget Management or something like that. They gave them the power. Congress said, no, we don't want to do this anymore. You do it.
And they gave a lot of power to HHS.
Exactly. Yeah.
With Obamacare.
And in multiple circumstances, they've been giving their power away. You can't cry now. You were okay with it then.
Just because you don't like Trump.
Just because you don't like Trump, you can't go, oh, no, we want our power back. Then why'd you give it away in the first place? And we're perfectly okay with it when it was Obama. And, you know, the resident in chief, you were okay with it then. Auto pen.
Our colleagues across the aisle have gone to their districts. They witnessed rage from their constituents at these actions. They have been advised by their political consultants not to do town halls altogether. Why bother listening to the American people? It was President Lincoln who said, public sentiment is everything, and without it, you can do nothing. They do not have public sentiment.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
We don't have public sentiment after the victory Trump had. They are clutching at straws so bad. They still refuse to admit that Trump won. They've got people claiming he cheated. You can't have it both ways. It can't be the most secure election ever, and it's okay when Trump loses, but when he wins, they cheated. GFY, get out of here with that.
So now what we should do? The answer should not be cutting non-defense programs by $15 billion and defense by $3 billion as compared to the Fiscal Responsibility Act agreement in 2025. They are in violation of the Fiscal Responsibility Act. There is an agreement with Senator Schumer, Speaker Johnson. We all voted for it here. But this is a violation, cuts non-defense $15 billion and defense by $3 billion. Why do they want to shortchange defense investments by $3 billion? I ask them. Not only is it bad for our military, there is a reason the Department of Defense has never operated for an entire year under a continuing resolution.
Yeah, there's also a reason they've never passed an audit. That's why it's interesting because I seem to remember the Democrats allegedly wanting less spending at one point. Right? The Republicans claim it, but they've studied defense, right? Okay, fine. Democrats were always, no, pull some of that defense spending back. We're spending too much.
And we had a sequester that actually cut a little bit of the money, and with Obama was president.
They were
and above all, it transfers more power to the
Stop it. There we go.
You know what the sequester was, right? It was where the Congress had to find cuts. I think it was $300 billion every year. I think it was $300 billion. I don't remember the exact amount.
Okay.
But if they didn't cut from the defense and from the Social Security thing, then it would automatically cut. So they did that for a couple of years.
Interesting. And they were okay with that then.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Right. We know. Of course they were.
Administration resolution. And above all, it transfers more power to the administration to shut off and repurpose funding as they see fit. The will of the Congress and the people ignored. Elon Musk and President Trump would be able to fire thousands of employees. Yes, we do not oversee Social Security. That's in the purview of the Ways and Means Committee. However, we do have control over the administration of Social Security. And
and you have stolen from it time and time and time. Both parties, let me be very clear. I am not blaming one party. These people have pilfered people's life savings. because that's what Social Security is supposed to represent. It's supposed to represent retirement security.
And they're giving, allegedly, Social Security benefits to illegals.
That's what everybody's saying. The Democrats claim that's not happening. The Republicans claim it is happening.
Yeah, I don't know if it is, but I can see it.
I don't know, but what I do know is I'm hearing a lot more lies from the Democrats lately. I mean, come on. Really, the doom and gloom bullshit is not selling, guys. It's just not.
President and Elon Musk would be able to fire thousands of employees at the Social Security Administration. Just witness, they're talking about 7,000 positions gone.
Let me clue you guys in on something briefly. Social Security, as it stands, is jacked. It is, and I'm not even talking about the money going like the actual checks. I'm talking about the administration itself. I know people personally who have dealt with Social Security. It's a mess. It's a mess. There's nobody at the offices. They don't answer the phone. They don't do their jobs. They aren't getting back to people. They're not issuing the things that are requested in a timely manner. It's a nightmare. Why the fuck should these people keep having a job if they're not doing it?
Yeah.
A legitimate question.
You're right.
If you're not doing your job, why should you continue to receive taxpayer funds for doing that job?
Yeah, they're supposed to work for us.
They're supposed to work for us. They're supposed to do this. And my wife deals with them through her job constantly. And it's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. Go to the Social Security office here in Michigan City. They're all supposed to be there. They're not. They're not. None of these offices are. So why are we so concerned? Because how else are they going to bribe their new voters?
So we need to get rid of, fire everybody and just start.
Oh yeah, that's the thing, right? When you do, I think it was the Shark Tank dude that went on. He went on TV and was talking about Doge and cuts.
O'Leary.
Yeah, O'Leary, Kevin O'Leary. And he said you always cut back more and then you rehire or restabilize.
And CNN almost had a meltdown.
They lost their minds.
They
lost their minds.
What does that?
Go ahead. You were going to say something.
I said we watched that the last time I was here.
Yeah.
Result in office closures, longer wait times, unacceptable backlogs.
As opposed to what? Guys, it's ridiculous right now. I cannot articulate to you how bad it is. If you know anybody on Social Security, whether retirement, disability, any of that, ask them. Ask them to call and get in touch with the Social Security office for something. Good luck.
Access.
And this predates even Trump. I just want to be clear on that. This isn't a recent change. It's been like this for years and years.
Just like every other government agency.
Right. And obviously COVID made it worse, right? They took everybody out of the office, work remote, and all that big hassle. But our current system is broken. It is broken.
Their earned benefits. In effect, you remove the staff and the personnel, thereby crippling the agency to be able to do its job and, yes, to provide benefits. And it's nice if you can individually negotiate with the administration on your own to keep your Social Security office open. 47 are on the docket to get closed. If one stays open, why not all 47?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Why not? If we're going to pay one federal employee, why not pay 2.25 million federal employees? Absolutely. Why not all?
Army Corps of Engineers construction projects would be cut by $1.4 billion, 44%. And President Trump, not the Congress, would determine who gets the funding, what city, state, locality, and how much money that is there. Instead of helping address housing costs, the bill cuts rents.
Okay, blah, blah, blah. We're going to move on to another personal favorite of mine, Jeffries. Ugh. All right.
Yep.
55824. People call him Timu Obama.
He doesn't. He definitely does a lot of.
He gives that vibe, doesn't he? He gives the Obama vibe.
I think he's the future.
Timu Obama.
Democrats are, which I think they're going to. He'll probably be the future.
Or the Wish version, right? It's awful. It's you can tell that whoever studied Obama and told him emulate this. Like it's so blatantly obvious. The same thing they tried with Kamala, by the way.
And that failed.
That failed miserably. And this guy, dude, this guy has a past. Like he's got some skellies in that closet. So if he does decide to really run, he's going to be content for days. right now, it's, it is what it is. All right. Your futures. Yeah. Okay.
From New York, the distinguished Democratic leader, Mr. Jeffries.
Gentleman is recognized.
I thank the distinguished gentlelady for her tremendous leadership and for yielding. I don't really understand the fatal attraction reference, because if anyone is dealing with fatal attraction, it's between President Trump and House Republicans. As soon as he says jump, your only answer is how high. It doesn't matter.
It was okay when Biden was in office, though.
Whether you are hurting the American people. That's why House Republicans are marching the country on a track toward the largest Medicaid cut in American history. What? You hurt children, hurt families, hurt Americans with disabilities, hurt seniors, close nursing homes and close hospitals. When Donald Trump says jump, extreme MAGA Republicans say how high. That's the fatal attraction. That's hurting the people.
The lady behind him feels
of the
like
United States of America. And by the way, the core promise that you made last year was about lowering costs. All you talked about was how you were going to lower the high cost of living. Democrats believe that America is too expensive. Housing costs are too high. Grocery costs are too high.
So when Biden was president, you were unwilling to admit that anything was out of the ordinary. That's why I have such a problem taking these people seriously, because they change everything they say any way the wind blows. They're all, all of them, with the exception of Rand Paul
and Thomas Massey.
And you know what? We'll talk about Massey another day, because that's a deep hole. And I am undecided about Massey.
All right.
I would like to do additional research and learn whether some of the things that I've been told about him are accurate. I don't know yet. All I have are he did this, he did that. I don't know any of that. I have to make sure. Now, if it turns out that's true, then I'll tell you guys and I'll be like, no, this guy's a steaming pile up. But if not, maybe if the things that I've heard are inaccurate, then I don't understand why Trump is attacking him the way he is.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Yeah. If the things are accurate, well, okay, then that would make more sense and we can do a dive on it. But we'll get to that.
Utility costs are too high.
Yeah.
And insurance costs are too high. America
all of this happened during Biden.
Expensive.
Interesting.
We believe that in fact is the case.
Okay.
But Republicans have done nothing to lower the high cost
except electing a new
living.
president.
No bill
that just got
no executive order, no administrative action. That's the broken promise. Dude. We were told by President Trump that costs were going to go down on day one. Grocery prices haven't gone down, they've gone up. Inflation is up. You know what's going down? The stock market. Because President Trump and House Republicans are crashing the economy in real time.
Oh, okay. Now it's
marching us to a possible Republican recession.
Oh, so now the R word's okay. Now the word recession is okay. Now that Trump's president, they can say it. Before they would not. They refused to admit recession. It's already happened, dipshit. Your guy made it.
That's what's confronting the American people. And so now we have this partisan, reckless.
What do you think he's doing behind
spending bill?
This guy back here. He's on his phone.
That we're being asked.
Do you think he's on Facebook?
To consider on the floor.
Yes, probably.
Today. Bipartisan negotiations were underway. Rosa DeLauro was at the table.
Somebody, I see him
working to reach an agreement consistent with the Fiscal Responsibility Act that was passed by Republicans and Democrats and then signed into law in 2023. But when Donald Trump says jump, extreme MAGA Republicans say how high. And he ordered the Republicans to leave the negotiating table to try to jam this far-right extremist bill down the throats of the American people. There are so many challenges with this bill, too many to detail. But let me just articulate a few.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, get to the point.
The House Republican, highly partisan, shut down threatening
So we're still
bill
not getting to the point.
is an attack on veterans. It's an attack on families. It's
So
an
no
attack
real
on
facts.
seniors.
Just
It cuts funding for veterans, including
no,
billions of dollars in funds that will be cut
And they're
from
just
veterans
going through
in
the-
desperate need of health
right,
care.
right.
think
They
they
are
were
trying
people-
to. They're trying to get people incensed to where they storm Tesla dealerships. You, by the way, people that are storming Tesla dealerships, you're fucking stupid. Stop it.
Yeah,
Stop
really.
it. Why? You're going to jail for these people? Getting felony charges for these people? They don't care about you.
They
At
care
all.
about power.
They care about power and money. That's it. Stop.
And
Just
that's
stop.
Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, both of them. I'm not picking a party. I'm just saying, don't go to jail for these dipshits.
No.
People who serve this country, who are suffering from painful exposure to toxic substances, Agent Orange and burn pits.
Funny how they suddenly care about
And this
veterans.
bill, before this House, cuts billions of dollars in that
Allegedly.
health care that is desperately needed. That's an attack
It's an
on
attack,
veterans.
y'all.
It's an attack on
an
children
attack,
and
y'all.
families in America because this bill
telling you.
cuts funding for nutritional assistance that would otherwise be available for everyday Americans to put food on the table.
What it probably does is cuts the interest or the increase.
Yeah, well, here's the problem, right? We have so many. I believe in our assistance programs. I believe in food stamps. I believe in Medicaid. I believe in a number of these programs when they're used as designed. Unfortunately, we have gotten so far away from that. We have illegals using things designed for the American people. Nope. Done.
No.
Done. You have people who are perfectly capable of working. Perfectly capable. And yet they're getting paid every month to sit around. Not okay.
When people are already struggling because grocery prices aren't going down, they're going up under this administration. And yet, this Republican bill will cut funding for nutritional assistance. That's an attack on children and families here in America. It's an attack on seniors, an attack on everyday Americans, an attack on housing, an attack on healthcare.
It's an attack on everything, y'all.
Which cuts
Just
funds
everything. All
from
of it.
things like Alzheimer's research.
Okay. Exactly what is this research doing? What's the benefit? You can say, like, here's the thing, right? I can say, I'm doing research to create the next AI. Give me $50 billion, right? And the only thing I do is add another processor. I'm still technically doing research. That's the problem with these research programs, these grants, the millions and billions and trillions of dollars that are just getting thrown out there for these NGOs and various research.
To help older Americans battle these challenges. That's what this extreme Republican bill is all about. It will hurt families,
Let me
hurt
guess.
seniors.
He's gonna create cancer
And hurt
more
veterans.
too, right? He's gonna make people die from cancer more.
Second problem, equally
see.
troublesome, is that this bill does
Cancer
nothing to protect Social Security,
There it is.
Medicare, and Medicaid. We've been very clear as Democrats. We
What do
look forward.
Protected how? What are they wanting? Just so I know, just so it's clear, that protect Social Security, Medicare, basically what? To where you guys can give it to whoever you want? Is that what they're asking for?
I think what they're saying is just keep the system exactly as it is now.
Right. Yeah.
Even though it's going to go bankrupt in 2031 and I think 2039.
Yeah, it may not make it that far based on recent
if we're
events
giving
with
to
it.
illegals, yeah.
Yeah.
In this Congress to protecting these vitally important priorities for the American people. Why is the bill silent on these priorities? Because you are trying to set in motion a chainsaw to Social Security, a chainsaw to Medicare, and a chainsaw to Medicaid. Your other boss yesterday confirmed that.
What's that?
What
I
he
said, I
said,
think it's almost over.
Yeah. Well, you got
that
like
these
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah.
entitlement programs, as he called them, they're not entitlement programs, they are earned benefits.
That's
When you start to use
you're entitled to it. That's the fucking point. It's these people are stupid. They are legit stupid. The more I listen to these people, the dumber they seem. I'm like, if you're entitled to something, it's called an entitlement because you're entitled to it. They make it sound like it's a dirty word.
It's become a dirty word.
Yeah, it's not. It's an entitlement. You are entitled. It's not a handout. That's the difference. They treat it like entitlement is a handout, and it's not.
That's what it kind of warped into with the media even says that.
Yeah, it's insane. It is.
use the language of entitlement programs, it's because you're trying to set in motion an assault on Social Security and an assault on
Orange Man bad.
Medicare.
That's why we
They're
can never
saying the
reform
quiet
the
part
system.
Yeah.
out loud. We know you're going after Social Security and Medicare because you've been firing thousands of people from the Social Security Administration. You want to collapse the system.
Right.
And this bill does nothing to stop that. All it does is facilitate the collapsing of Social Security by dismantling the Social Security Administration.
Right.
And of course, we know what's going on with your assault on Medicaid, $880 billion.
Medicaid's screwed. I'm just going to put it out there. Medicaid in general is jacked. Way more going out than it should be. And people who truly need it can't get it, while people who shouldn't be on it are on it. That's how bad it is. That's why it desperately needs to be fixed. And in order to fix it, we got to look at it. In order to look at it, we got to freeze it for a little bit so we can fix it.
Halting the health care of the American people. We've been very clear. We'll work together to protect Social Security, protect Medicare, protect Medicaid. You have no.
That's what they always say.
I'm sorry. Oh my God, I'm weak. I'm weak. I almost passed out.
That's what they always say.
We've been very clear. We will work together the way you did during his first term.
Oh yeah, blocked every single thing.
The way you did with the Republicans during Biden's term. You know what? Go ahead. Cry the time that you can cry and then sit down. I know you got some big feelings, little man, but sit down and hold it, right? Come on. Bruh, really? We're willing to work together. Oh, of course you are now that you're not in power. Punk asses.
Interest in doing that because you want to take a chainsaw attack to these priorities. And by the way, it has nothing to do with waste, fraud, and abuse. As Democrats, we've been very clear. We want to build a federal government. Make sure that we have a federal government.
We want to build the federal government already exists. Nut chin. I mean,
I'm not sure what he meant by that. That's why I kept that clip.
Yeah. What are you talking? We want to build a new one? Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know what he was talking about.
That's effective, that's efficient, and that's equitable. Delivering services all across the country in a manner that spends taxpayer dollars wisely. But that's not.
That'd be nice.
What this effort is all about. This bill will unleash fury on the American people. It will facilitate the ongoing effort that is currently underway.
Okay. Sure. Dude, these people. All right.
Back to Representative Cole.
Yeah, we're going to go back to Cole here, who apparently says some good things. It's such a long clip that, like, just moving a hair, and you're like an hour ahead. You're like, no, come back.
Personal friendship for a distinguished ranking member.
And we're going to go, this is 6:11:57 to 6:13:04. So
I think
just
that's
a
the
couple of
longest
minutes.
clip I got. Was just that last one.
Yeah. So just so you know, we had to sit and suffer through Jeffries, but he thinks that's the longest one.
Besides
put in
Rand
there,
Paul,
which I don't hate, because the man says some, as you can see from the beginning, he says some very interesting things that nobody else is bringing up.
I try to be
Member of the
balanced.
Appropriations Committee. But I don't know what bill the leader read, but it certainly wasn't this bill.
Right?
We've heard a lot of time about Social Security. There's nothing in this bill on Social Security, not a single thing.
Right.
We heard a lot about Medicare. We don't deal with Medicare on the Appropriations Committee. It's not in here. We heard a lot about Medicaid. It's not in here either. Should be dealt with. It'll be dealt with in a reconciliation bill, but not this bill.
Yeah.
This bill is about keeping the government open, something my friends pride themselves on and have often patted themselves on the back.
Oh, yeah.
We got the opportunity to do it today.
Yeah.
That's all this bill does. It does a couple other interesting things. It actually, my friend said, we cut funds for food support. It doesn't do that. It actually adds $500 million to WIC.
So it adds $500 million to WIC, and the Democrats are still crying about the poor.
You said you cut support for housing. It doesn't do that. It actually adds money to the housing accounts. If you actually go through the bill, the charges made simply don't have much to do with what's in this bill. The simple reality is we're either going to keep the government open or we're going to shut it down. If you want to.
I mean, he's not wrong. Personally, I'm all for shutting the government down until they stop wasting our money. Personally. But I understand that's not the popular opinion. I get that.
it actually costs more money to shut it down. Too.
Okay.
Just
all right.
saying.
In the short term, yes. But if we can, but here's the thing. Don't shut it down just to make a little point and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're going to allow that to happen, do it right.
Okay.
Let it shut down, freeze, whatever, and then actually make these people go to work and do their jobs. That's why this keeps coming up, because these people are not doing their job. Very simple. Let me ask you this. In order to pass a budget, does it require a simple majority, or is it a 3/4, or what is it? Do you know?
For the House, it's just a simple majority.
A simple majority. We have the numbers. Why the hell can't they do a budget?
And in the Senate, you have to get 60 votes to beat the filibuster, but then it's a simple majority in the Senate.
There you
Remember,
go.
they have a very small majority in the House, Republicans.
But the majority does exist, which means that they could do their job, but they don't. Why they don't?
They got 2-seat
something
majority.
else. Yeah. Okay. Next clip is Scalise. Scalise. It's not E. It's just Scalise. He left his E at home.
From Louisiana.
6:20:40. Ooh, pretty close. Look at that. All right. From Louisiana. And we're going to go 6:20:40 to 6:23:48. Here we go.
Rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse in government, something that should be bipartisan. In fact, it used to be bipartisan to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. But now, because Donald Trump is doing it, the Democrat Party of today up here in Washington is so consumed with hatred that they oppose even rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. That has been not only highlighted up here, but people around the country are talking about getting rid of that waste once they've seen it. A lot of this was a veil that was pulled down where people couldn't even find out what was going on because the payment systems were being hidden by the Biden administration. We couldn't even find out about a lot of that spending that we were anecdotally hearing about. But finally, you saw it on full display. And it was so embarrassing that some of those employees have left. Fortunately, a lot of that taxpayer money that was being wasted is now being saved. And the money is being recouped so that we can shore up programs that work vitally for people. The president talked about Social Security, a program that we help protect. When you've got somebody that's listed as 300 years old in the Social Security system, that shows you the kind of fraud and abuse that's going on.
Yeah.
And the fact that President Trump is willing to confront that and take it on so that people actually paid into the program their whole lives can get the benefits they deserve. That's what people elected President Trump and this majority on the Republican side to do.
Yeah.
But you would think Democrats would want to join in and help accomplish that.
No.
And yet here,
I'll say this, if it wasn't for the fact that it's Donald Trump, right? And of course, Orange Man bad, you know, the whole 9 yards. If this was any other non-MAGA, non-Trump president, you know, the Democrats would at least pretend to be all about cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. At least pretend.
Yeah.
Because it's Trump. Oh my God, he's killing grandma.
Here they are on this floor talking about things that aren't even in the bill, trying to scare people, talking about cuts to veterans in the bill. And maybe because they just didn't read the bill, it's only 99 pages long. I would urge them to go read it. They might actually vote for it.
Actually really small for what they usually put. 99 pages is like, you could actually read that.
It's a lot of times 1,000 pages.
1,000, 1,200. The one was like, I remember the $1 trillion bill was like 1,200 pages, and they dropped it on their desk like an hour before voting.
Which is against House rules, but they did it anyway.
They don't care. They don't care. I'd have voted no on principle
for this bill in the next hour, because they'll realize, in fact, the cuts that they're talking about are not true. They're not in the bill. There's an increase for veterans in this bill. You know what else is in this bill, Mr. Speaker? And I want to applaud again the chairman of the Appropriations Committee and his members for negotiating something that's been needed for a long time, and that is the largest pay raise for our junior enlisted military personnel in over 40 years.
Wow.
Now, if somebody doesn't think our men and women in uniform deserve that pay raise, maybe they'll vote no. I'm proud to say I'm going to be voting yes to support our men and women in uniform who've been waiting for that raise and deserve it. How can you justify a no vote on that, Mr. Speaker? That's actually in the bill. As they talk all day about what's not in the bill because they were against it before it was even written.
Yeah.
If they actually read this bill, again, only 99 pages, it's a pretty quick read, you would find out that pay raise for our troops is in the bill. Stronger funding for our veterans is in the bill. But why are they voting no, you would ask? Just because the name of the president is Donald Trump.
I agree with that. We've talked about that. All right. We're going to jump to Representative Clark.
She's from Massachusetts. Democrat.
Libby. Liberal. All right. So 62902 is where we're going.
From Massachusetts, the distinguished Democratic whip, Ms. Clark.
Gentlewoman is recognized.
Thank you, and I thank the gentlelady from Connecticut for yielding. Republicans made a promise to the American people.
You know, one thing I'm starting to notice from a lot of these House hearings, where the frick is everybody at?
Oh, why is it empty in the House? Yeah.
Shouldn't these people be at work? I don't know. I'm asking. I didn't win. Otherwise, I'd be at work there. My
guess is the House chamber is big enough where
they all have
there.
Seats.
Yes, but it's got to accommodate the State of the Union too. So or other things. So they have guests sometimes.
Okay.
So not every seat is taken a lot of times. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay. No, I now it makes, so basically the House chamber is big enough for the House and the Senate plus guests.
There's like 1,400 or maybe even more seats in there.
So it's going to look like
yes,
there are not as many people there, especially if they spread out. Right. Okay. I can understand that. All right. I'll accept that for now.
We're going to build a stronger economy, we're going to lower costs, and we're going to have safer communities. But for 7 weeks, we have seen nothing but ideas and bills that break that promise. We all want government to run more efficiently, to be better for people who depend on it. But stealing money from the Veterans Administration, from schools, from law enforcement, from children's health care, and giving it to a tax cut to the wealthiest man on earth?
Where did they come up with this shit? Seriously, stealing money? Like, come on, man. The rhetoric here is off the charts. Stealing money. They're stealing money, people, from your veterans, from your poor, from your people who can't eat. They're stealing it and they're giving it all to Elon Musk.
It's really? Like they're trying to get Elon Musk hurt or something.
Oh yeah. They absolutely are. Make no mistake about it. They would love to influence the mind of some easily influenceable individual.
And there's some crazy people.
There are some nutsoids out there, man. I mean, nutsoid. Look, put it this way. Go to Indiana State Prison, right? And look at all the criminals that are there. The majority of them just made a mistake. Okay, let's be very frank. They just made a mistake. The worst day of their life. They got arrested, whatever. But there is a segment of that population that should never, ever see the light of day again. Now imagine there are plenty of those out there who have not been caught yet. It's kind of a
frightening. And his billionaire friends, that's not finding efficiencies. That's not taking on waste and fraud in government. It's destroying working families.
Government contracts.
The ones Biden did.
Exactly.
The GOP are crushing the American people under the weight of their own political ambition. Rents are going up. Housing is in a crisis. This bill today, they propose to evict 32,000 families from their home. 32.
I don't know.
Where do they, genuine question, where do they get this from? Where did she come up with 32,000?
She's trying to say that HUD's going to be cut, so that's going to make them get thrown out.
2,000. Those are veterans. Those are kids. Those are seniors. Those are domestic violence survivors. Eggs at my grocery store on Sunday were $8.49 a dozen. In this bill, you propose to take $27 million away from the inspectors who go out to our chicken farms who are fighting and trying to stop bird flu.
Here we go. Just so I knew it was going to come up. I knew those words were going to come up. That's the next scare, guys. And I have read about, I'm no pharmacologist or pharmacist or doctor or anything like that. But if I can understand, it's not that big a deal. You can understand. It's not that big of a deal. Look into it. Compare. They're going to keep, I promise you, they're going to keep bringing out avian flu, bird flu. It's not the next pandemic. It's not. Despite the Democrats trying to push the fear of it.
The spike in eggs. What kind of insanity is that?
That's
and then if you look at the budget overall, we've got healthcare spiking, and you want to cut Medicaid. That's
why is healthcare spiking? Why is healthcare so expensive? Obamacare.
Oh yeah.
Your babies. Get the fuck out of here.
The answer? Seniors' cost of living is out of control. And you're saying, let's run up the cost of prescription drugs. And as Elon told us directly this week, coming next, you want to eliminate Social Security.
He
never said that. That's a blatant lie.
So if you feel this is the mandate that you have,
your time's
you
up,
can do that on your own.
Time's expired.
These people.
All right. I think it goes into the next.
Yeah, we're going to go right into Representative Simpson from wherever they are.
I think he's from Idaho. He's a Republican from Idaho.
Gentleman's recognized.
Idaho.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I yield 3 minutes to my very good friend and senior member of the Appropriations Committee, the gentleman from Idaho, Mr. Simpson.
Gentleman's recognized.
I thank the chairman
You're
for
not
yielding.
Homer.
And first, let me say I appreciate the work the chairman has done over the last several months, trying to get our regular appropriation bills done and then trying to get this CR finished when it became apparent we weren't going to be able to negotiate a top line yet. Something that we will continue to work on. But there's a lot of things that have been said on this floor that I have to say just aren't true.
Yeah.
Not a different interpretation of the facts. They're just not true.
Yeah.
There's nothing in here that cuts Social Security. There's nothing in here that cuts Medicare. There's nothing in here that cuts Medicaid. But yet I keep hearing that. That's the talking points that were created before this bill was actually written.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is difficult to write a year-long CR. First time I can remember it being done. It's almost harder writing that than it is writing the regular appropriation bills because we have to put anomalies in it. Things that have to be done as we move on with the regular funding. The reason I've been able to support this CR and will vote for it is because of the work that our chairman, Mr. Cole, has done with some of these anomalies that were absolutely necessary.
You know what he's talking about anomalies?
I am not exactly sure. I'm thinking maybe it's something that comes up that they weren't expected. I'm not exactly sure. That's the first time I've ever heard them use that
The
term.
word anomalies when referring to these budgets or CRs is like,
maybe it's something to do with, only thing I can think of, maybe it's something to do with inflation, because
could be, yeah.
But maybe things are spent more or cost more.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe it was with anomalies. They don't usually use that term.
Right. That's the first time I've heard that specific term, which was why I was like,
in the interior arena, there were 4 anomalies that really needed to be addressed to get this CR done. One is it fully funds PILT payments, which is an estimated level of $600 million, $85 million above what was the current level.
Do you know what PILT is? P-I-L-T?
Don't.
Indian country, the CR increases funding for Indian health services to expand availability and direct health care services, funding the Bureau of Indian Affairs, BIA.
Payments, okay, PILT payments are in lieu of taxes, are federal payments to help local governments offset losses in property taxes due to the existence of non-taxable federal lands within their boundaries.
Oh, okay. So basically, in return for having like a national park or something, federal lands, not necessarily probably a park, but federal lands.
Or protected lands.
Or protected lands, like wetlands, et cetera, which we have here. That's where the money comes from, I'm guessing, is the pill. At least part of it. Sounds like it. I'm no economist, but
I just learned something new. I didn't know that.
Learn something new every day.
BIE programs are held at 2024 enacted levels. The CR removes the 2024 earmarks with BIA and HIS, but the overall net effect on tribal programs is still a $25 million increase. In addition, program increases, the CR also provides $999 million an increase for tribal contract support costs and an additional $256 million for Section 105.1 leases in an effort to continue our commitment to upholding our trust and treaty responsibilities. It also increases on a permanent basis the wildfire fighting fire pay. That costs $147 million. It actually saves us $20 million, $27 million, rather than just extending the one-year extension of the wildfire pay. And I think when we've seen those great jobs that wildfire fighters do for us, it's incredible what they do. We don't pay.
Really? I mean, Brian, look, I for the most part, I'm on your side, but is it a dangerous job? Absolutely. Are there like genuine heroes that do that? Absolutely. But given the recent history, I'm not sure. Look at the wonderful job they've done is the correct approach.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying Maui, California, like, that's kind of cringy, dude.
Pay them enough now.
Yeah.
And if you can make more flipping burgers in California than you can fighting wildfires, then something's wrong. So this permanently fixes that for us.
I do agree.
It's a very important bill. Shutting down government is never good policy. It's never good politics. Why anyone, Republican or Democrat, would vote against this, I have no idea. This is a good bill. I hope we all vote for it.
Okay. So our next clip is Representative Rutherford.
Yep.
Which 637.57.
Republican from Florida.
Appreciate all the hard work that got us here today. Yeah. You know, I really appreciate all the hard work that got us here today. You know, Mr. Speaker, I have to tell you, as I sat here on this floor listening to the conversation, it reminded me of an old saying that my father had for many, many years. I heard this, that a lie can travel around the world 3 times before the truth can get up and put its pants on. Well, that was before the internet. So now, after what I've heard today, I would say it's probably more like 100 times a lie can travel around the world before the truth can get up and put its pants on. And I happen to know that House Republicans have been working diligently to fully fund the core federal government services so that President Trump and his administration can continue to identify the waste, fraud, and abuse of American tax dollars, protect our border, and support Americans, including our veterans, contrary to what you heard, our military families, first responders, of which I'm a former, and our seniors.
Oh, cool.
Most importantly, by passing H.R. 1986, this continuing resolution, we are ensuring that a costly government shutdown does not fall upon the American public.
Okay. So like you said, Shawn, it costs more to shut down than it does to fund it. We only got a couple more clips. So
for the House, and then we got Senate.
Yeah. So this is 645.11.
General A is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to oppose this cruel betrayal of America's veterans, seniors, and working families. This one-year CR doesn't make rent or health care bills more affordable, which is what keeps my constituents up at night. Instead, it actually cuts housing aid that could force 32,000 veterans, domestic violence survivors, seniors, and people with disabilities into homelessness. And what does this spending patch do as we all now stare down the barrel?
Real quick, have you guys seen, number one, they all have the same talking points, right? Just like if you paid any attention to their social media or even, I would say, right-wing-ish news, they reported on it. They all put out the exact same videos and the exact same posts. Word for word, not the same ideas, the exact same posts. That's concerning. Who is in control of our government? Who is in control? Because it's not you. It's not me.
I personally, you want to know my theory?
Yeah, by all means.
My theory is that the speaker or whoever's the leader of the Senate work together and they tell everybody, they have like an email list or something and say, everybody say these words. And they all know what the mission is for Democrats. And they want to get to that mission no matter what. Don't care how they get there.
Right.
So that's just my theory. Okay. With Republicans, it's kind of like straying with cats. So it's kind of harder to keep them together.
Yeah, I can see that. Like the Republicans, in general, it's the same overarching theme. Okay. Right? You'll get, President Trump's right. Yeah, this person's an idiot or whatever, right? This is going to cost us money, but it's at least in their own words.
Okay, yeah.
It's at least like perceptively different.
And they're not always in complete cohesion together.
Right. Yeah. Like, oh my
There's
God.
Republicans that they don't always stick together, but it seems like Democrats always stick.
Right.
Of another Trump recession. It hands an unelected billionaire free rein to keep stealing taxpayers' dollars and paves the way for billionaires and big corporations to luxuriate in more tax breaks. This isn't a clean CR. This CR stands for cut and run. It lets Trump close hundreds of Social Security offices and fire thousands of workers who deliver our seniors checks. It allows Musk to keep hacking into your private tax data. It puts critical Everglades restoration funds at risk. Worst of all, it lets Trump and Musk keep up their brutal assault on veterans and the people who care for them. It does it by eliminating $23 billion in guaranteed funding for health care for veterans exposed to burn pits and other toxins. We should debate bipartisan full-year funding bills that grow the economy and provide vital resources Americans need. Instead, this Republican cut-and-run bill turns Congress into a missing kid on a milk carton and cedes massive power to Trump. This is the same president who, in 2 short months, tanked your 401k and unleashed a job-killing trade war. Yesterday, the stock market just recorded its worst day since 2020. What really enrages me is that this cut-and-run bill sides with the most anti-veteran president in American history.
What?
Trump has fired 6,000 veterans, inflicted mass VA layoffs, and killed hundreds of veteran services contracts. Trump even plans to lay off another 83,000 VA workers, and on top of that, this cut-and-run bill makes even deeper cuts to the healthcare services for all those who bravely served our nation. Democrats are more than willing to back bipartisan funding legislation, but we will never sell out our seniors, veterans, and children like this cut-and-run bill shamelessly does.
Congratulations, you have a soundbite. Give me a break, dude. And here's the thing. This is what I want to point out. I'm like, wait a minute. What is she talking about? She's saying that while cutting waste, right, while firing the extraneous federal workers we have, X number of them were veterans. So he did technically fire 20,000 veterans or whatever, right? I don't care. I don't care if you're a veteran or not. If you are not providing a service to the American people, you should not be receiving my tax money.
You do your job.
Do your job. And these people were not doing their jobs. Very simple.
And there's
God forbid you should ask somebody to tell you what they did last week. Holy hell.
Yeah.
Bruh. Okay.
One more quip and then they vote.
All right. So we're going to go 651-47.
Representative Waller from
Home is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Keep going.
I know. I'm trying to highlight it so I know where I'm looking.
Is the great.
Sorry. Like you so much as Twitch, and it's look at him. Look at him with the Ukrainian colored scarf. And I'm surprised they don't have the flags on them. Come on now. Where's the I don't care what country you're from. There is no other country on the face of the earth that should have their flag flown in our house.
Exactly.
Period.
That
was absolutely disrespectful. Period.
Said it's not a lie if you believe it. As the great George Costanza once said, it's not a lie if you believe it. And that's what we've heard today from my Democratic colleagues.
Right.
A bunch of lies that maybe they sincerely believe. The reality is this bill does not touch Social Security. It does not touch Medicare. It does not touch Medicaid. Those programs are fully funded and protected. Our veterans fully funded and protected. Fiscal year 24 was a total of $1.665 trillion. Fiscal year 25, of which we are voting to complete with this CR, is $1.658 trillion. The reduction of $7 billion is because community project funding that has already been paid, already been approved as part of fiscal year 24, is not going to be double paid.
Yeah.
So we are saving $7 billion by removing it.
So why would we pay for it again?
As it should be. Exactly. Why would we pay for projects that have already been paid for?
Right.
The fact is that we have to keep the government funded and open. Why anyone would vote to shut the government down is beyond me. And when Joe Biden was president of the United States, I voted every time to keep the government funded and open. And the idea that we're going to shut it down because the priorities changed, well, guess what? The administration changed.
Yeah. Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that.
All right. Now to the votes.
All right. So we jump ahead to 744.
When they actually vote on it.
744.49.
This is just they have one more vote before this, that an option for them to send it back to committee.
Okay.
And that vote failed. So that's all that is.
So basically they were trying to kick it back to committee so that they
it's
could
a
start the
tactic
whole
that
process.
Democrats or whoever's in the
minority
uses.
tries to do. Okay. So there we go. All right, we're going to go to 745.39 and then jump ahead.
13, and the nays are 216. The motion is not adopted.
This is the
question
back
is
to
on the
committee.
passage of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye.
All right, this is to pass.
Those opposed, please say no. The ayes have it.
Oh, what happened to the
The
audio?
gentlewoman
there
from
it is.
Connecticut.
On that, I request the yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and
He's a
nays
former
are
Democrat.
ordered. Members will record
They didn't even
their
look
vote
up to
by
see how many
elect-
rows.
Uh-uh.
Do you notice that? His eyes were fixed the whole time down. He didn't even look up
No.
to see if there were enough.
I
Who
think
is this guy?
Jeff Van Drew. He's from New Jersey. He used to be a Democrat, but he changed his mind when Trump became president. He became a Republican.
Uh-huh. I smell.
My guess
smell
is he was.
something.
My guess is he was just reading the paper.
Oh, yeah. He wanted to get reelected. That's what happened.
Maybe I don't
Switching parties. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, because we have that around Michigan City a lot. You have a lot of these Democrats that will run as Republican for a county position because they know damn well they're not going to get elected as a Democrat. Just saying.
And I know who you're referring to.
There's a number of
This is
them.
a 5-minute vote.
Okay. All right. So this is the CR actual vote, right?
Yep.
The Envy hasn't voted yet or no vote. We got the yays, nays. Yeah. Why am I not surprised that it's exactly party lines so far?
All right, you can.
Oh, we got a Republican who voted nay. Interesting.
Massey. 2
of them.
One of them was Massey.
Okay.
You want to skip ahead?
Yeah. Let's go to 750.54.
Yep. No need to just watch numbers.
Yeah. It's just going
on
to.
which the yeas and nays are ordered. Clerk.
Oh, too far.
Too far. Oh, yeah. Way too far.
Keep going.
Close. Okay, here we go. And this goes from, it's like a minute, guys. 30 seconds or so. So 215 to 212. It looks like, with 4 no votes, 2 Republican and 2
So
Democrat.
that one Republican is Massey.
Oh, somebody changed their vote, it looks like.
Yeah, I
from
think
Nate.
they must have made a mistake.
Okay. They were, yeah, I heard requested to change their vote somehow.
On this
so.
vote, the yeas are 217, the nays are 213.
That's not Jeff
The
Van
bill
Drew,
is
but-
passed without objection. The motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
Yeah,
Off
y'all
to
can
the
cry
Senate.
all you want. What?
Off to the Senate.
Okay, guys. So that was the House for this continuing resolution.
You gotta go all the way back.
Yeah, we're gonna jump back, obviously, but I found, and I think you will too. I found what Senator Paul said to be very, very interesting about this whole CR.
His speech is interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So 1436 is where we start.
The Senate Majority Leader, Senator Thune. From South Dakota.
I promised being a new day in America. It's also a new day in the United States Senate. When I became leader, I promised we would do things differently around here.
Yeah.
I think the last 10 weeks show I was serious about that. Unfortunately, today our business is cleaning up from the old way of doing things. We're voting on yet another continuing resolution today because last year's Democrat majority pushed off full-year appropriations again and again. Last summer, the Appropriations Committee reported out 11 of its 12 bills with bipartisan support. 6 of those bills passed out of the committee unanimously. But month after month, Leader Schumer found something more important to do than fund the government. And not one of those 11 bipartisan bills ever came to the floor. So today we're trying to finish up last year's work so that we can begin to do this year's work. To be clear, Republicans aren't thrilled about another CR, but it is our best option to make sure that last year's failure by Democrats doesn't interfere with this year's appropriations process.
Yeah, but then why are you doing it for a whole year? If you truly want to fix it, why wouldn't you do it for a few months and then go back and work on a real budget?
Remember, the fiscal year ends in September. It's from October to September. So this only goes until September 30th.
Okay. All right. Still, though, I mean,
I'm hopeful that enough Democrats will reject their party's threat of shutting down the government to get this bill passed today. As I said yesterday, it's time to move on.
It is.
And moving forward, appropriation bills are going to be a priority in the Senate.
I hope so.
When the Appropriations Committee sends a bill to the floor, my goal is to bring it to the floor for consideration. And I hope that my Democrat colleagues will cooperate in that effort. We're going to have a debate, consider amendments, and vote. And we're going to try to avoid the end-of-year pileup and continuing resolutions that I know we are all tired of. Mr. President, another continuing resolution, another CR, was nobody's first choice. But I can tell you this, the next time the Senate votes on an appropriation bill, it won't be on the eve of another shutdown. So I appreciate my colleagues' support for this continuing resolution, and I look forward to a much better process for fiscal year 2026.
I mean, fingers crossed, dude. I hope so. I hope so. But as of now, I don't believe anything any of them say. None of them I believe Paul to a degree, right? Especially when he's talking about waste, fraud, and abuse, because the man has been on this crap forever. Like the last 10 years, he's been talking about every year he puts out, this is what we're wasting money on.
A Festus list.
Yeah, like, what is it? Festus or Festivus or something like that.
Festivus from Seinfeld.
Yeah, that's right. The Festivus thing. Yeah. Every year he tells us about it, and every year they pass it anyway. That's the only guy that I listen to when it comes to the Senate. The rest of them, criminals, as far as I'm concerned.
Senator Lee is pretty good, too.
All right. So our next one's 2933.
Senator Schumer.
Oh, God. You hate me, don't you, Shawn? That's what it is.
I want to skip both sides.
That's the only explanation. You hate me.
Without objection. Well, Mr. President, as everyone knows, government funding expires at midnight tonight. As I announced yesterday, I will vote to keep the government open. I believe it is the best way to minimize the harm that the Trump administration will do to the American people. Clearly, this is a Hobson's choice. The CR is a bad bill. But as bad as the CR is, I believe allowing Donald Trump to take even much more power via a government shutdown is a far worse option.
How would that work? Seriously, if there was a government shutdown, could Trump conceivably have more power?
He could actually deem things unessential.
Okay, like non-essential, like they did. Okay, yeah.
And actually get rid of more people. He could make it easier.
Interesting. Okay, so Schumer,
to fire people,
at least according to him, decided this was the lesser of two evils for the Democrats.
And he's getting a lot of heat for it.
I'll bet.
They're talking about AOC primarying him, which would be fun to watch.
That'd be hilarious to watch. Dude.
I hope
imagine it. Imagine the debate.
They
won't debate, dude. There's no way they'll allow that debate.
I want to watch that debate.
Oh, if it happens, we normally I don't watch Democrat crap, but I'd watch that. I would live stream that. You guys could join us, and holy hell,
could you imagine?
Oh my God, the sheer insanity that would be present. I wonder if they're going to make them hold up their hands if they support LGBT LMNOP.
Probably.
Like all that. They're not. Okay.
A shutdown would allow Doge.
Why is your flag straight up and down like that?
Isn't that weird?
Dude.
I saw that too. I don't know why.
Like,
to shift into overdrive. Let me repeat, a shutdown will allow Doge to shift into overdrive. It would give Donald Trump...
Why would not we... In that case, Republicans should have been all for a shutdown. But again, I'm sure the Democrats are only telling a tiny portion of the truth, if at all. So
Trump and Doge, the keys to the city, state, and country.
Oh my God!
Donald Trump and Elon Musk would be free to destroy vital government services at a much faster rate than they can right now, and over a much broader field of destruction that they would render. In a shutdown, Donald Trump and Doge will have the power to determine what is considered essential and what is not. And their views on what is not essential would be mean and vicious.
Right.
And would decimate vital services and cause unimaginable harm to the American people.
Unimaginable. By whom? Unimaginable by whom?
Good question.
Yeah.
Matters even worse. In a shutdown, there is no check on their determinations, Trump and Doge's determinations on what is essential and what is not.
And I just want to say this, guys. A lot of this fear monger, even for, look, Trump's not for everybody, right? I get that. The man has a certain way about him that can rub people wrong. And maybe you're one of those people who think because the TV told you that Trump is evil, right? His first term, he didn't do any of the things they claimed he was going to do. He didn't start another world war. He actually stopped some. He didn't do the things they said that he didn't do this. He didn't do that. I'm so tired of the hate rhetoric, man. The oh my God, everything's falling apart. Watch, look, Trump's going to do this. Trump's going to do that. He didn't. He didn't.
In fact, on February the 26th, OMB, led by Russell Vought, told agencies to work with Doge to create a list of non-essential workers so that they could reduce staffing even faster in a shutdown. They're already prepared.
That's what you do. You make a list of non-essential workers when you're trying to trim the fat. How is that so?
For a shutdown.
It hurts.
Musk has told everybody he wants a shutdown because he knows it will help him achieve his horrible goal of just decimating the federal government from one end to the other.
I would love to see our federal government decimated. I'm just going to be straight up honest, dude. The federal government is a blight on this country. It has absolutely corrupted and steered the direction of this country exactly opposite from where it was headed when it was founded. It is the exact opposite to what the founding fathers
I like to say
designed.
It's a huge weight.
What's that?
It's a huge weight.
It is. It's a machine. It's a bureaucratic machine that creates more bureaucracy to fuel the bureaucracy. We need to cut. Absolutely.
In other words, if government were to shut down, Doge has a plan in place to exploit the crisis for maximum destruction. In a shutdown, American families would be hurt in ways they almost have never been. It could disrupt regional Veterans Affairs offices, curtail mental health services, accelerate plans to slash stash at Social Security offices.
Here we go.
The list goes on and on and on.
It's the same fear-mongering rhetoric. All right. So our next clip is Senator Collins, 255-33.
From Maine.
Let me guess. They go back and forth about how evil Trump is and all the stuff in this CR that isn't actually in this CR. And then the Republicans say, none of that's in there. And then the Democrat gets up and says, yes, it is. It's bad. It's all bad. We don't want the government dismantled. Holy God. I think it's the Crypt Keeper.
On the Appropriations Committee for her comments. Mr. President, I rise to urge passage of this funding measure to prevent an unnecessary, harmful, and costly government shutdown at midnight tonight. Mr. President, government shutdowns are inherently a failure to govern effectively and have negative consequences all across government. They inevitably require certain government employees, such as Border Patrol agents, members of our military and Coast Guard, TSA screeners, and air traffic controllers, to report to work with no certainty at all on when they will receive their next paycheck.
And that sucks. That sucks. I wholeheartedly agree, especially our military, our Coast Guard, our, the people actually doing their job.
And the TSA, even though we complain about the TSA.
Dude, the TSA sucks. It is awful, awful, awful. As far as I'm concerned, they can all be unemployed. How many terrorist events have they prevented?
That's a good question. I don't know.
0. That's the latest report. I looked it up. You guys feel free. Yeah, feel free to look it up yourself. How many terrorist actions has TSA screening prevented?
Yeah, I remember reading a couple of years ago an article where all the stuff that they miss a lot.
Yeah,
that is true.
That's just unfair.
It's people who can't get a job in McDonald's.
Shutdowns also put critical investments in our national defense on hold. Training exercises would be limited, which could hurt our nation's readiness.
What's up? Oh.
New programs would be paused, delaying new capabilities from getting to our war fighters.
Send it on.
That's why we have always in the past avoided CRs for the Department of Defense. At our borders, the men and women performing vital law enforcement activities would have to do so without pay and without the assistance of support staff, putting more pressure on frontline operators. Other harmful potential impacts include curtailed operations for the Veterans Benefits Administration, resulting in the closure of education and GI Bill call centers.
One thing that I do want to specify and make sure people don't misunderstand me. I am an outspoken advocate for taking care of our veterans. I would love to see the VA flush with cash and helping our veterans, period. That said, our VA is in abysmal shape. It is awful.
And
we need to fix it.
Trump had it pretty well
He
fixed.
was working on it. And there's still a ton of waste, fraud, and abuse that happens in the agency. And one of the best things that he did, in my opinion, was allowing people to not go to the VA. They can go to a doctor and still
going to say that.
Yeah, people have been begging for that for decades.
And that's a good thing.
It's a great thing. That's why to paint Trump as in any way, shape, or form against our veterans is just flat out wrong.
And the suspension of career counseling and transition assistance for our veterans.
Transition assistance for our veterans. Yeah, see, that's why they're mad. That's exactly why they're so butthurt. Because I was going to make a joke. I decided against it.
The closure of our wonderful national parks to visitors, increased travel delays as the onboarding of additional TSA agents would stall.
Oh, no.
And some FAA employees would face furloughs and costly delays for projects at the Army Corps of Engineers and critical water infrastructure projects.
Yeah, by all means, we shouldn't slow down the spending.
A very partial list of the harm that would be done from a government shutdown. This unfortunate situation that we're in with a continuing resolution.
Okay. We're going to actually jump ahead to what I believe is one of the best parts of this entire thing.
Senator Paul good on that.
Yeah, we're going to hear from Senator it's Rand, right?
Yep.
Ron is his dad.
Yep.
I keep getting Rand.
He was a
and Ron.
congressman from Texas, and Rand is the senator from Kentucky.
Okay. Okay, so 5/11/05. And we're going to go to 5/23/43.
Yeah.
This is the single longest clip in here, but I believe it's necessary.
Without objection.
Here we go.
Senator from Kentucky.
President Trump has pledged to balance the budget. I want to help him. I want to help him with this task. But to balance the budget requires much less spending than this current bill entails.
Yeah.
Our national debt now exceeds $36 trillion. That's 124% of the size of our economy. That should not be a surprise. We're adding $2 trillion every year to the debt, this year included.
Yeah.
Critics of excessive federal spending have rightly argued that we should return spending to pre-pandemic levels. This is something I could support.
Yeah.
The spending bill before us, though, spends $400 billion more than we were spending before the pandemic.
And one thing, real brief, guys, I don't know if you remember, right? The pandemic happened, right? I know you guys remember that, but remember Congress and the Senate and all these talking heads on TV telling us, oh, this is just temporary. We're just going to raise, the debt ceiling just temporary. We're just going to approve this multi-trillion-dollar bill just temporarily. Anytime you relinquish more power to the government, they will never give it back.
Exactly.
Spending went through the roof during the pandemic and it never came back down.
Right.
And the deficits are out of control. In order for this bill to get back to pre-pandemic levels, it would have to be $400 billion less. That's something I could support.
Yeah.
3 months ago, when the current continuing resolution was passed at the end of last year, we were told that we just needed to clear the decks. President Trump was going to come in and the Republicans would be in charge and then everything would be okay. Just wait. Pass it along in December.
Yep.
Come March, Republicans will be in charge and something will happen.
Oh, yeah, we'll fix it.
And yet the bill before us doesn't change anything. The bill before us keeps the same Biden spending levels.
Yeah.
We were told with relentless fury that we would fight for the taxpayers come spring, and we are given a bill that doesn't change. It doesn't change the course of accumulating $2 trillion in debt every year. The powers that be, I believe, waved the white flag of surrender when they presented the American people with this bill that fails to make the cuts that are necessary to slow down the accumulation of our debt.
I fully believe that maybe it started, right? It started as whoever does this and gets together and makes this continuing resolution and comes up with it. Who does that? Is it Ways and Means?
And then it Appropriations Committee.
Okay. So those, maybe they even started with the idea of we're going to do what Trump said and we're going to cut spending, right? I don't think they can get the votes. I think there are enough owned politicians who said, nope, I need that. Nope, I got to have that. Nope.
That's the problem. Everybody loves their pork project.
Yeah, precisely. And we got a clean house, guys. House and Senate. We got yank them out of there, get new people in.
The malpractice is made even worse this time around. Presidents of both parties pay lip service to the idea that the national debt must be addressed. Despite tough talk, deficits and debt inevitably keep rising. We now have over $36 trillion in debt. Unlike past presidents, though, President Trump created the Department of Government Efficiency, affectionately known as DOGE, to identify wasteful programs and eliminate them. Despite DOGE working around the clock, identifying appalling waste of taxpayers' dollars, this bill continues to fund the same programs that are funding the waste and fraud that's been located. How can that be? If we've located the waste and fraud, why are we not telling them reduced foreign aid? If the foreign aid budget is full of all kinds of crazy left-wing advocacy and nonsense, reduce the amount of money you give him. This bill will give them the same amount of money they got last year. This bill allows foreign aid to continue. It doesn't incorporate any of the DOGE cuts. It doesn't cut waste. This bill embraces the waste. It allows the waste to continue. This bill doesn't respect the taxpayer.
No.
It continues to throw their money away. This bill continues the Biden levels of spending that caused historic inflation, that caused prices to rise, that caused people to be outraged to vote for a new president. Why in the world would we continue the same spending levels that led to the debt, that led to the inflation that is plaguing us? This malpractice is compounded by the fact that President Trump and DOJ made it easy for Congress to fix. They actually told us where the waste was and where the waste and abuse was, and told us how to root it out, how to remove it.
Get rid of this program.
The waste found by DOJ truly shocks the conscience.
Oh,
Taxpayers paid $25,000 for an LGBT trans opera in Colombia.
Right.
They spent $2 million on sex changes in Guatemala.
Your money.
They spent $1.5 million advancing DEI initiatives in Serbia. They spent $6 million on tourism in Egypt. They spent $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. Some of the USAID's programs have actually gone beyond woke absurdity into pouring money and support to people who are the enemies of the United States. The agency provided millions of dollars to EcoHealth, which funded the dangerous research in Wuhan, which in all likelihood created and caused the pandemic. From this account, also millions of dollars went to support agriculture in Afghanistan, including fertilizer for the poppy fields grown by the Taliban.
Wow. Imagine that.
And yet, even after all that DOJ has uncovered, and I commend them, Congress is still on the verge of passing a bill that fully funds foreign aid. Many in this chamber think it's wasteful to do all these things, and they say, well, why should we keep spending money on foreign aid that is paying for sex changes in Guatemala, and yet the funding levels in this bill stay the same? These are the same funding levels for the foreign aid that were occurring under the Biden administration. Let me say that again and clearly. This bill fully funds the outrageous foreign aid programs that Elon Musk and DOJ have exposed. Something doesn't make sense here.
Thank you. There's something going on, guys. I'm telling you, because look, the Democrats, they're going to stand against it anyway, because, you know, orange man bad. Why not use this opportunity to cut all this shit? Why? Because the Democrats are not the only corrupt ones. That's my
squandering a grand opportunity. Democrats are in chaos.
Oh yeah, because they were like, they can't do anything. They can.
No, I mean, as a party, a party, they're in chaos.
Oh yeah, yeah. The party itself is falling apart. I mean, dude, did you see that chairman fiasco for the new DNC chairman? Did you see? Oh my God. Oh my God. Like that was entertaining. That was entertaining, because I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah,
but they're squandering this opportunity. Republicans are just pissing it away.
They are.
Well, Congress seems slow to open its eyes to waste and abuse. Secretary Rubio has acted. He recently said that the United States is canceling 83% of the foreign aid contracts. I'm for that. And in fact, that's what my amendment will do. My amendment will take the contracts, the dollar amount of the contracts that President Trump and Secretary Rubio have canceled, and put them into language so they don't get funded. Why in the world would we not be for getting rid of the funding for the crazy programs we're trying to get rid of? Something doesn't make sense here. President Trump and his team identified the cuts that need to be made, but it is ultimately Congress, not the executive, that has the power of the purse. Congress has to act to make the cuts identified by the administration a reality. And on that score, the bill under consideration today is a disappointment. The bill is a disappointment to those who believe that congressional leadership should have used the 3 months since they came into office Since Doge and Elon Musk have identified this waste, they should have used that waste and incorporated it into the spending bill.
Yeah.
None of the Doge cuts, none of Elon Musk's suggestions have been incorporated into the spending bill. The spending bill continues spending at the Biden levels.
Which, you know what that tells me? That tells me nobody even bothered to change anything.
Nope. Nobody.
This was already, this was planned. We're just going to keep this going. Just same as last time. Same as last time.
Give lip service to people that think they're going to be cutting, but they're not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The spending bill will be when everybody wakes up and scratches their head and says, what happened here? The spending will lead to $2 trillion in debt. People will wake up and say, well, what about all those cuts? What happened? Yep. I thought we were cutting out waste and fraud. And come September, the deficit for the year will be $2 trillion because we're not actually cutting the spending. Congress has to do the heavy lifting.
Yeah. Do your job.
We owe the American people an answer to this question.
Yeah.
Exactly how many Republican seats are required in Congress to achieve a majority that will actually fight to lower government spending?
We're already, see, guys, we're barely into Trump's second term, and we're already seeing Republicans not doing what we want them to do. Straight up, I'm telling you, clean sweep, replace everybody. I think Paul can stay. He seems to be doing a good job. Everybody else?
I say we vote both of our senators out.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think the taxpayers need to wait for that fight any longer. I'm not willing to say, oh, just wait, young man, wait for another day. We'll be fixing this in 6 months from now. It never comes. This is the story of this place. Wait till another day. Wait till the sun shines. We'll finally cut some spending. Never comes. Someone must make a stand and fight. To that end, I offer a Doge Cuts 1.0 amendment.
Okay.
That would codify the cuts in foreign aid, reducing USAID's budget by 83%, and aligning with Secretary Rubio's recent decision to eliminate thousands of these programs. Okay. So what I am doing is not inconsistent with the Trump administration. What I am doing is in support of the Trump administration. What I am doing is taking the preliminary cuts that Secretary Rubio has given to foreign aid and making them law. Why? Because the whole judiciary is opposing the president. Yeah. They're telling him he can't fire people, he can't cut spending. He needs Congress to step up and do their job. He needs the people who support the president need to be supporting the president's cuts. They need to be supporting an amendment, Doge 1.0, that puts those cuts into law. I'm not even talking about codifying all of the cuts. I'm only taking a small sliver of them in foreign aid. This is the low-hanging fruit. This is the worst of the worst. This is $3 million for girl-centric climate change in Brazil. This is $4.8 million for social media influencers in Ukraine. This is hundreds of thousands of dollars spent sending Ukrainian fashion designers to the Paris fashion show.
Yeah.
This is waste, utter and simple waste. Yeah. And it ought to be cut.
Realistic question for you guys that love Ukraine. How does sending Ukrainian fashion designers to a fashion show support the policies of the United States of America? How does that improve the lives of the average American? Genuine question. If you have an answer to that, please leave it in the comments.
That's a good question.
Genuine question. I'd love to know how, in a roundabout, weird logic way, that could possibly be justified.
Why would people?
It doesn't. Right. That's what I believe. But you have an opportunity to school this, Trump supporter, this maggot or whatever they call you.
Tell you publicly they're for it and then vote against it. It doesn't seem to make any sense. What my amendment does is put Doge's findings into action, eliminating much of the funding for an agency that spent its tax dollars on woke entertainment and advocacy. It sets in law the reductions that the Trump administration has made known to be necessary. I applaud Doge's work to uncover these many instances of abuse of taxpayer dollars, and it's now Congress's turn to make the cuts stick.
2 more minutes.
If we do not adopt my amendment, then taxpayers will simply continue spending substantial amounts of money to defund components of the government rather than using savings to pay down our mounting debt. In other words, you might cut it and think it's cut one day, but what if the courts say you have to spend it somewhere else? It never comes back. The cuts are never real. The only way the cuts the administration are making will ever be real, will ever be counted, and will ever lessen the debt in the country is to vote in Congress. That's what this is about. It would be the height of hypocrisy for Congress to pay lip service to DOJ's exceptional work, support it on superficial, and then vote against it when you have a chance to vote on it. Continuing to spend at this bill's level will add $2 trillion in debt. That is a fact. All the newspapers reporting yesterday, it was all over the news, record-setting accumulation of debt. We've accumulated over $1 trillion and we're not halfway through the year. It's a record accumulation of debt. It only stops when people stand up and say enough is enough.
Which, by the way, the Biden administration assured us wasn't going to happen when they okayed that $1.7 trillion spending bill. Oh no, this isn't going to affect our debt.
The least we can do is make sure that it doesn't include the egregious spending that has come from the foreign aid.
Yeah.
The craziness, the sex change operations in Guatemala, trans operas, trans comic books, all of these ludicrous things that no American supports will only go away, and will only go away with permanence if we vote for it. Before us is a chance to enact about $16 billion worth of DOJ's cuts in foreign aid. These cuts are only real in the long term if they're reflected in congressional action.
Agreed.
If we continue to fund the federal government at the Biden administration levels, which is what this bill does, then the money from DOJ's hard-found savings will just be spent somewhere else. I urge all my colleagues who have praised DOJ's work to match their actions to their words and vote yes on this amendment.
All right, now we're going to the voting.
Thank you. Now you back the remainder.
Okay. So what is the cloture vote? Is that where they tried to table it again, or is that something else?
Cloture is you have to have 60 senators vote yes to end debate.
Okay.
So a lot of the techniques that they do is the minority party just votes no. So then debate never ends theoretically. So there's never a vote for the final vote. So this is where the Democrats are so mad at Schumer, is because he voted for cloture.
Okay.
Like 9 other Democrats.
Basically, they wanted to keep it in limbo to where it could never actually go to a floor vote. And he votes to move it along.
Even though he voted no on the final bill.
Cloture motion. We, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a close debate on calendar number 26, H.R. 1968, an act making further continuing appropriations and other extensions for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025, and for other purposes, signed by 17 senators.
By unanimous consent, the mandatory quorum call has been waived. The question is it the sense of the Senate that debate on H.R. 1968, an act making further continuing appropriations and other extensions for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025, and for other purposes shall be brought to a close. The yeas and the nays are mandatory under the rule.
And then I think we move ahead to...
Yeah, we'll move ahead to the actual vote, which is
like
7:05:21.
There's none of these are long things anymore.
Yeah, these are very short. We're almost done, guys. I know. Hang in there. I know it's a lot. I know. Believe me. I know. I know. I got to sit here and listen to him. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Yeah, it's like 20 seconds or so.
He's going to announce the vote.
Here we go.
This is just...
On this vote, the yeas are 62, the nays are 38. 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn have voted in the affirmative. The motion is agreed to.
Okay, which means it goes to an actual vote.
Yeah.
Right?
And now they vote on amendments.
Oh, okay. And the real amendment is the Rand Paul amendment, right? All right. And that is at 7:50. So we're going to see that.
Rand Paul does a little speech before.
7:50:26 to be exact. There.
The amendment is not agreed to.
What?
Mr. President.
No. You got it.
Oh, is it
Order?
This
Senator from Kentucky.
Amendment.
Call up my amendment 1266 and ask that it be reported by number.
The clerk will report.
The senator from Kentucky, Mr. Paul, proposes an amendment number 1266.
Okay, 1266.
Order in the chamber.
Yeah, shut up.
Senator from Kentucky.
All right.
I compliment President Trump and Doge for exposing waste and abuse in foreign aid spending. It boggles the mind to think that some in Congress defend spending $2 million on sex changes in Guatemala, thousands on an LGBT opera in Colombia, and thousands on a trans comic book in Peru. This is the low-hanging fruit. If Congress can't vote to cut this egregious, crazy, left-wing lunacy, will Congress ever have the courage to tackle entitlements?
Nope, cowards.
Yet there does remain a significant constitutional question as to whether these cuts need a congressional vote to give them permanence. Today, with my amendment, Congress can make these foreign aid cuts the law.
Mr. President.
The senator from Washington.
Mr. President, the senator's amendment would indiscriminately cut $16 billion from state and USAID, including life-saving assistance. Secretary Rubio said he wants to maintain for the purchase of food from American farmers, programs to counter the PRC influence, and efforts to ensure American businesses are more competitive overseas. This amendment would cut funding for the USAID Inspector General by 83%, making any waste, fraud, or abuse hard to uncover. And it would cut global health programs like Trump, Rubio, and Musk say they allegedly want to preserve. Not even House Republicans went this far. This amendment would undermine American workers, American businesses, and our national security.
No.
I urge a no vote.
No, it wouldn't.
Ask for the ayes and nays.
Is there a sufficient second?
There we go.
There is. Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Also Brooks.
All right, here we go.
And then you should skip
Ms.
ahead.
Baldwin.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let's skip to the vote. I was about to sit here. All right. I know you guys. Your time is valuable. $803.25 is where I'm going, just so you guys know. Close enough. All right, here we go.
Yeah, just wait till you hear how many votes.
803 to 47. So it's like 20 seconds.
The votes that it is this terrible.
This is for his amendment, right? Okay.
Listen how many votes it got.
Here we go.
On this vote, the yeas are 27, the nays are 73.
27?
The amendment is not agreed to.
27 out of the so-called majority.
Yeah, out of the 53, yeah.
What a pathetic, disheartening vote, dude. Like, you weren't kidding. That is very, very, very sad. Okay.
Final one. Wait.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hop ahead to the last one.
Okay, 819.
Yeah. Let's just see the tally. It's really, really difficult, guys, to find the spot. Okay. There.
And now the final passage.
All right, this is for the CR, the actual in vote.
The yeas are 54, the nays are 46. The bill is passed.
Bill is passed. Yep, that's it. 54 to 46.
Isn't that terrible?
It is awful that only 20-ish senators had the courage of conviction to actually do what they've been claiming they want to do for the American people, which is cut fraud, waste, and abuse. I would like to know how our so-called senators voted on that amendment.
That's a good question.
Yeah, let's find out from the great state of Indiana how Senators Young and who's the other one, the new one?
Banks.
Banks. Yeah. I will say this, during Banks's time in the House, he always followed pretty much what Donald Trump wanted. The policies that he wanted to put in place, the votes that he was kind of leading. Banks pretty much fell in line, I think, because he wanted to be a senator.
Here it is.
Okay, let's see. Bum, bum, bum.
Young voted yes.
Okay. He's trying to save his job.
And Banks voted no.
Banks voted no. There's a shock. There is an absolute shock.
Yeah.
Guys, don't believe the hype. These people do not want to save you money. They want to continue to bleed the taxpayer dry.
If I was going to guess, it would be both of them voted no. But
Young actually voted yes. Yeah, good for him. Like I said, he's not exactly popular in the MAGA circles right now. He is desperately. He knows. Voters have short memories, unfortunately. So he's trying to dribble you some good votes here and there. Plus, he knew it wouldn't matter. He knew there wasn't enough vote. Here, I can throw you a yes vote and it won't matter.
Mm-hmm.
No problem. I can look good, right? Make it look good. All right, guys. You've been here long enough, and I greatly appreciate your time. We may or may not have a show for you Friday. We'll see. Maybe. But in the meantime, my editor is back at work, and she is working hard on trying to get some shorts going for you guys to give you guys some additional content. Because I know I'm not exactly. I know the whole name of the damn show is Dion's Daily Dose, but I've been busy. Okay. I promise I'll get back to daily uploads of some sort very soon. Until then, God bless you. God bless Indiana, and God bless the United States of America. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Don't listen to these traitors. Good night.